The garbage update is here, literally. Now, on top of collecting Physium from creatures, you can officially go all in on industrial waste collection and disposal across the universe of No Man's Trash. Oops, Sky, turning a game into a full-blown space janitor simulator. With this update, which introduces a Death Stranding style full-scale delivery experience to No Man's Sky, the devs decided to add a set of, let's say, questionable mechanics nobody really asked for, alongside a Half-Life inspired gravity gun and a full rework of a previously rarely used Colossus Exocraft. So let's break down Remnant and try to answer a very real question: who is this update actually for? It's been about half a year since the last major update, Voyagers, and most of us probably expected something closer in scale to last year's Worlds Part 2 update, which completely reshaped the universe by adding stunning diversity, trillions of new worlds and new biome types. But based on the update number 6.2, this should already set expectations properly. This is a minor update, more in line with Beacon reworking planetary settlements or Relics adding the fossil system. So fair warning right away. Don't expect too much here. This that out of the way, let's go through what Remnant actually adds. Clouds have been visually upgraded, especially noticeable during sunrise and sunset, and overall performance has reportedly improved across platforms. On PC though, I honestly didn't notice any major difference, so this might be one of those things that becomes more apparent over time. Corvettes are now available on Nintendo Switch, and there is also a long list of bug fixes covering placement issues, lighting problems and various multiplayer quirks. At its core, Remnant introduces a brand new role, Space Janitor. The main new mechanic is industrial waste collection. Planets with salvageable scrap are now littered not only with broken tech, but also with piles of garbage. Metal debris, toxic barrels, radioactive crates, and even explosive canisters are scattered all over the landscape. You collect all of this using a new multi-tool attachment, the Gravitino coil, which is very clearly inspired by Half-Life gravity gun mechanics. Then transport the trash using the Colossus Exocraft, which is now fully customizable and can be turned into a heavy delivery vehicle, and finally process everything at waste processing plants for rewards. On paper, it's a complete system. In practice, it's incredibly slow, mind-blowingly tedious, terribly repetitive, and highly questionable when it comes to time invested versus rewards gained. For most players, this will be probably a novelty you mess around with for a couple of evenings and then completely forget. But if you are the type of player who genuinely enjoys realistic truck driving simulators with weighty physics and obstacle navigation, this might actually be a valuable addition for you. Now, credit where it's due. The Gravitino coil itself is really fun. This new multi-tool tech is unlocked at the Space Anomaly for 520 nanites and adds a gravity gun style attachment to your tool. Once installed, it also starts a new secondary mission called Industrial Cleanup, which guides to the nearest waste processing plant and teaches the basics of the new mechanics. You can magnetize objects, pull them toward you, launch them into disposal pits or straight across the landscape, juggle sentinel drones that dare to interrupt your very important garbage disposal business, and even throw them into each other purely for entertainment. Sadly, this doesn't actually damage sentinels even if you slam a drone straight into a rock. It's chaotic, it's silly, and it's easily the most entertaining part of the entire update. Industrial waste itself comes in several flavors: regular scrap piles, toxic containers, radioactive crates, and explosive hazards. All of this gets hauled to a new building type called waste processing plants. These are fully interactive facilities randomly scattered across salvageable scrap planets where you dump your trash, process it, and receive materials and rewards in return. Now, don't get me wrong, but rewards are absolutely laughable. They are nowhere near worth the literally wasted time spent collecting garbage across massive landscape and transporting it to processing plants, even with a fully upgraded Colossus. This mechanic feels downright disrespectful to your time, given how miserable the payouts is compared to the effort required. Regular trash gives nanites, radioactive waste gives nanites and uranium, toxic waste gives nanites and ammonia. Explosive waste gives nanites and phosphorus. that's it. You can either bring a fully loaded Colossus onto evaluation platform and mass dispose everything for reduced profits, or individually throw each piece of trash into a high-tech disposal pit for slightly better rewards. It looks fancy and feels thematic, but mechanically it's still painfully slow and tedious. The biggest issue is that waste can only be delivered efficiently using the Colossus, which is slow by design and will lose its cargo on the way no matter how carefully you drive across rough terrain. Every time this happens, you are forced to stop, get out, and manually reload garbage back into the truck, stealing even more time. High-value waste like radioactive, toxic, and explosive materials mostly comes from new points of interest called waste heaps, which you locate with the Colossus scanner. These are almost always far away from the nearest waste processing plant, meaning you will be spending 10 to 20 minutes of real time just driving garbage back and forth. No shortcuts, no teleport tricks. And no, you can't just load the trash into your Corvette and fly it over. The moment you try, the garbage clips straight through the hull, because realism apparently ends exactly where convenience would begin. Yes, high-value waste can technically spawn in random trash piles too, but these respawn randomly on every reload, meaning the same pile might be useless general scrap one time and toxic waste the next. It's purely RNG and incredibly time-consuming. One place where the update actually shines is the Colossus Rework. You can now fully customize it with different cabins, cockpits, wheels, paints and utility modules. Many of these customization options appear to unlock through garbage disposal milestones similar to fishing rewards, but there are no clear in-game hints explaining this, at least none that I could find so far. You can save, name and swap between multiple Colossus configurations, which is super convenient. From a customization standpoint, this is excellent. From a gameplay perspective, it's hard not to ask why would you grind for exclusive vehicle parts just to haul trash with more style. Although I will admit the exclusive spider legs you get from Expedition make the Colossus movement look absolutely ridiculous in the best way. There's also new tech, the Cyclops scope, unlocked for 320 nanites. It enables the use of the analysis visor while driving and can be installed on any Exocraft. This is something Exocraft should have had years ago, but it's still very welcome. On the Colossus specifically, it adds the ability to scan for waste processing plants and waste heaps. Another Colossus exclusive tech is the excavation blade, unlocked for 480 nanites. It changes the vehicle's appearance and allows harvesting resources just by driving through terrain. It's fun but not very useful, because unlike mining with a multi-tool or starship, you only get a tiny fraction of the resources. Still better than nothing. Handling improvements, better downhill braking, improved dust and exhaust effects, and a new driving music track all help the Colossus feel less painful to use. But even with all this, Exocraft gameplay remains optional content, not core progression, especially for new players. The Remnant expedition is where everything comes together, and also the players who aren't excited with the new mechanics will truly feel the full weight and boredom of them. The expedition is a time-limited, community-driven event set on a single desert planet where players strip the world of industrial waste. Rewards include decals, titles, new tutu gesture, and exclusive Colossus modules like mechanical spider legs, camouflage paint, and a unique asymmetrical cabin. The standout reward is the heirloom armor set. But are these rewards actually worth your time? And how do you avoid the nastiest pitfalls of this expedition? Let's get into that. First, do not play this expedition from your main save. Without any prior warning, the game locks you into the expedition until it's fully completed. You won't have access to your starship until the very end, which means you can't reach the space anomaly to return to your main save. Even though the game offers the usual option to transfer items via the expedition terminal, you won't be able to access them until the expedition is over, at which point they are completely useless. You are effectively trapped. If you don't enjoy hours of slow terrain traversal in a heavily loaded Colossus, this expedition can easily turn into torture. Trust me, I learned this the hard way by starting it from the main save just to make this video. Second, turn multiplayer off immediately. The expedition is incredibly buggy with multiplayer enabled. This is the first expedition in over a year where I personally felt forced to disable it because the experience was that miserable. As for the objectives themselves, they are extremely boring and painfully repetitive. You will spend 10, 20, sometimes even 30 minutes of real time driving the same routes over and over again, constantly losing cargo, reloading it and repeating the process. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm honestly downplaying it. You repeat the same delivery objectives 5 times, traveling between waste heaps and processing plants again and again and again. It's pure game design madness. This is honestly the first expedition that I didn't enjoy even a little bit. I spent more than 5 hours pushing through it just to escape that felt like a prison with no warning signs. That said, I sincerely hope these tips make your experience less miserable if you decide to complete it for the rewards. There are 4 major pain milestones: discovering 8 minerals, processing 16 toxic waste, purging 16 radioactive waste, and disposing of 16 explosive waste. This alone can take hours, even if you are a veteran. To save time, scan absolutely everything, including plant-like objects that sometimes count as minerals. If you are stuck, look for dry lake beds or playa terrain. These cracked mud areas contain many small rocks, some of which may be undiscovered mineral types even if they all look similar. When transporting high-value waste across the 5 expedition phases, try not to lose a single piece. Losing any of it will absolutely come back to haunt you later. I lost some early on, and by phase 5, waste heaps had completely run out of certain waste types, forcing me to spend over an extra hour hunting through random trash piles to finish the milestones. To reduce cargo loss, keep an eye on the cargo counter in the lower right corner of the UI. If it gets overwritten, press H to cycle tips. Save frequently by stopping, exiting the vehicle and creating restore points. Be aware that some of these systems are still bugged, and even after reloading, some cargo may spawn scattered around, so always double check before moving on. Our milestones are mostly straightforward. In phase 4, then asked to reorient 32 sentinels, you don't need to use different ones. You can repeatedly throw the same sentinel to complete it, eventually turning it extremely angry, deeply confused and very personal about it. When you unlock the trade rocket, you can use it to sell excess items for units if started from your main save. If you started a new save, this doesn't really matter since units won't transfer. After all, the main point of the entire expedition is simple: survive the repetitive boredom and never do it again. So those are my first impressions of a Remnant update polluting No Man's Sky. Instead of fixing long-standing systems or expanding meaningful progression, we got a space trash simulator. The mechanics are extremely niche, more meditation-oriented like fishing, and definitely not competitive with existing nanite farming methods. If this already sounds unappealing to you, you are not missing much. I wouldn't recommend this to new players, and even for veterans, the time to reward ratio feels completely off. This one is is strictly for fun and for dedicated trash disposal enthusiasts. But hey, one man's trash is another man's come up, right? And to end this video on a special note, this update did introduce something truly unexpected, something controversial, something that completely messes with the economy of No Man's Sky in 2026. I will be covering that in detail in my next video coming very soon, and I promise it's going to be game-changing for a lot of players. So consider subscribing so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, Udalooper out, I'll see you in the next one.